I am so happy to welcome our next speaker, Chris Belanger. Chris is the head of community at Kodeco. In the programming world, Chris has over 25 years of experience with multiple database platforms, real-time industrial control systems, and enterprise healthcare information systems. Helping other devs learn and grow by building healthy, supportive communities is one of his greatest passions. So welcome, Chris, for Is a Dev Bootcamp Right for Me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I am super excited to be here. Thanks for the intro there. My background is as a developer, as I mentioned, for 25 years. Now I've transitioned. Instead of pushing code, I'm trying to push policies and paper basically to try and build great communities and build a lot of networks that help support boot camps, which is one of the things that we do here at Kodeco. One of the things that I handled before I came over into communities was actually the intake / admissions person for boot camp. So I love to talk to people before they come into the boot camp. So I've got a presentation here today about, is a dev boot camp right for me? Because let's be honest, it's not right for everybody. And it's easy to think that it is because everyone seems to be doing it. There's boot camps everywhere. Everyone's doing a boot camp, not just in coding. There are professional services boot camps. There are management boot camps. There are like MBA style boot camps. There are all these things, and they all promise transformative change. And the thing is that boot camps are big business too. Like it's a multi-billion-dollar business. So while the idea of a boot camp is kind of grassroots, it's actually really, really big business out there as well. So you gotta be cognizant. You gotta be aware of what's going on. The thing is too is like boot camps seem like the fastest way to get where you need to go, and I'm impatient. I mean, 25 years of coding hasn't made me any more patient, unfortunately, and I don't think our audience is any different. We want to get to where we want to be very, very quickly, and boot camps promise 12 weeks, 13 weeks. How I got hired as a grad without a degree. This almost seems too good to be true, and a lot of times it's not. Sometimes it is, but boot camps seem to be the best way. I don't want a 4-year degree. I don't want to go back to school. So it seems like a really great short path to where we're getting. And the thing is too, is that it's hard to decide. Like boot camps all seem to be offering the same things. I came across this from Course Report where they talk about the 58 best coding boot camps. I didn't know there were 58 coding camps. How can they all be the best? So it's very hard sometimes to figure out because all these boot camps look alike. They all promise transformative change. They all promise good things. We offer boot camps at Kodeco as well. So I'll be honest, like we also offer change as well. But this presentation is designed to give you a lot of ways to, think critically about what a boot camp is going to give back to you, because you're the central person here, to be honest, and to figure out what you need to know beforehand going in, how to execute in the boot camp, and what to expect at the end. One more thing I want to mention is that it's hard to know because there's such a large range of bootcamp pricing. There are free boot camps out there. They're legit. I think I just saw in January that there's a association, I believe, with Black Girls in Tech. They just partnered with Motorway as well, offering free UI UX web dev boot camps as well. They're all over the place, and you can go up to 5 figures, sometimes 6 figures for these coding boot camps. And it's a tremendous range. And do you get what you pay for? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But I will tell the audience here that one of the things we think about as boot camps, as both novice coders and as even intermediate coders, you know what? It's not about the skills when it comes to getting the best out of a boot camp. And I'll tell you, it's not even about the price that you get from a boot camp. There are excellent free boot camps. There are terrible free boot camps. There are excellent paid boot camps. There are many, many terrible free paid boot camps as well. But what it is about the people. The benefits of a boot camp that come back to you before, during, and after are really about the people engineering that happens in there. I believe that almost anybody can learn how to code. I believe that those are skills that most people can and should have. But what I think you need to keep in mind going forward about, is a boot camp right for me? Is it about the people, starting with yourself? Number one, what is your learning style? We'll talk about that. You need to go in thinking about what are your end goals with this boot camp. And it feels like, well, to get a job, but there's a lot more complexity to it than that. Job is number one, but planning beforehand and understanding what you're getting out of the people engineering of this is super important as well. And the third one here is that no matter what level we come in at, the boot camps that we offer at Kodeco, we have people coming in with a little bit of experience. We have people coming in with 10 years experience. We have people trying to effect a career change with this stuff, and they all need different supports, and they all need to understand what supports they want. So let me rip through this really quick. I'm sure that your learning style, this crowd identifies with one of these two pictures. Either you love learning on your own or you love learning as a group, and both are just fine, actually. Thinking about your learning style, there's really two flavors of boot camps out there. Number one is that there's a fixed length boot camp, graduate in 16 weeks, whatever. There's also boot camps where you go at your own pace. Now, this depends on really how you like to learn. Do you like to be pushed? Do you work well under pressure? Or do you need time to dive deep? Both are okay. I want to show you this. We, as I said, Kodeco does boot camps, and we just sent out a survey to our people on our waiting list, about 2,000 people on our bootcamp waiting list. And we said, we offer a 12-week program. It's actually 13 weeks when you count graduation. And we asked people, we said, how much time do you think you need for a bootcamp? Do you want it to be shorter? Do you think it's too long? Or do you need more time? And overwhelmingly, people said they need more time. So be aware, even though bootcamps sometimes promise a lot in 12 weeks, and we do this as well. So I'm telling you how the sausage is made, folks. A lot of people need more time. And so we're hoping to restructure what we do with the boot camp to give people a bit more time to accomplish what they need to do. So be aware that if it's like 12, 13 weeks, it's going to be a very aggressive 12 to 13 weeks. If this image does not strike fear into you, then maybe it should. Maybe you love Zoom meetings. I don't know. You really need to understand, because in the online world of 2023, you're going to find a lot of these boot camps have been spun up fairly cheaply. And to do that, they use a lot of video conferencing as well. We use this too. We try to minimize the video time that you need because it's exhausting. And we know that most of our cohorts learn really well on their own. But you can get boot camps that are in person. They're great. I love that the world's come back online and people are gathering again. I think that's great. Understand, do you actually need to be local with people? Do you need to be co-located in the same room? Some people learn best that way. Can you deal with having even more Zoom calls? I think we're all sick of them by now, but a lot of boot camps will rely on this stuff a lot. Or do you like to think through things on your own? So if this image strikes anxiety into you, as it does to me, need to figure out if this video-based boot camp is what you need. One thing I'll tell you from the experience that we've run many boot camps to date is that there are many, many flavors of beginners. And there's this truth in the world that no one thinks they're a beginner, even the people that say they're beginners, because a little knowledge is dangerous. But we have tons and tons of flavors of beginners coming in. We have beginners coming in who are new to mobile programming. We have beginners to all sorts of programming. We have beginners who have done mobile programming in the past, gone away from it, worked in ops or something, and are coming back to it. So it's because of the pace of change of tech, it's brand new to them. So knowing where you are as a beginner is super important. So number one takeaway I want you all to have is talk to the bootcamp before you join. Here's a social hack. If a bootcamp does not want to talk to you first to ensure a good fit, red flags. One of the things that is intake coordinator, I wanted people to know when they came in that they would be successful, because a lot of these boot camps, the good boot camps are based on student retention. Do people stay in the program or do they drop out? The crappy ones that don't care, the good ones do care. They do care because they're graded on this internally. I'll tell you, sausage is made that way. So talk to them first. If they don't want to talk to you first, keep looking. Number two, your goals are very important when you come into a boot camp as well. Do you want to work in like a social benefit kind of area? Do you want to work with growing community? Do you want to be super successful in corporations? Both are okay. But knowing and being true to yourself of what your goals are coming in is going to help you out greatly. Now, I was just talking to a recruiter a little while ago, and he told me, Chris, one of the big things is that people come to me looking for a job, and he goes, I can get them a job. He said, but the people that come to me looking for a job will be back in 6 months because they don't like a job. They want the job, because you can get any job, but you're not just any person. You'll find that a lot of boot camps are either in two flavors. You've got boot camps that are connected to a job pipeline. A lot of times, these are great because they shorten that hiring process for you, which can be miserable. The thing is that boot camps connected to a job pipeline are graded on their placement rates as well. So they may be more amenable to putting you in a job and not the job. Then there's a lot of boot camps that are not connected to a job pipeline. Ours is not by design. This puts more onus on you to actually go and do the work, but it gives you more flexibility to be in line with your goals. You got to think about that as a dev in this world, you're going to end up working with teams. Even if you want to be an indie dev, you've got clients, you've got contractors. Understand that boot camps help you flex that social muscle, that social engineering muscle that is really important to us. So the second takeaway I want everyone in this group to have is I want you to begin with the end in mind. Careers are going to have lots of crazy twists and turns, but I can speak looking back on my career and the other of my colleagues as well. The key to finding joy in your life's mission is to work on what you believe in, number one. So go into this boot camp knowing that it's in line with what I want to be and what I want to do in life. This is super important. We like to think we're all invincible. We're not. Think about the networks that you have for supports and think about the people who you have for supports here. Understand how do these teaching models work in the boot camp? Are they going to be super hands-on? Are you going to get a lot of support from people? That can be overwhelming because you feel the need to perform in front of humans. A lot of boot camps are like that. A tremendous number of boot camps are not. It's very much arm's length. They present the information to you and say good luck. So understand going in, what kind of supports do you need? Do you need the support from the leaders? Or are you happy to work filling the gaps yourself? One thing I would talk about as well is that a lot of boot camps are very prescriptive in their approach. Like, this is the right way to develop. I tell you, like, having been in dev for 25 years, I still haven't found the right way to build apps. I have no idea. I'm still making it up as I go along. Understand that a lot of people are going to teach you this way to do it, and you're going to find when you hit that real world after boot camp, there's 100 different ways of doing it the right way, and that's okay. So understand, are you happy to go through a prescriptive program, or are you the type that likes to find your own way? And both are fine. One of the things you're going to have to do, and if you've been a dev for at least 6 minutes, you're going to know, you're going to have to Google something. No boot camp will ever have all the resources you need. It is 100% impossible. Reading docs, fighting away through documentation, trying to find something that's actually working on Stack Overflow, you can cut and paste to get the job done. This is what a lot of people, I think, mistake about boot camps, is that all the information is right here. No, it's not. Even we have to go to outside resources, and we have been building educational resources for like 13 years, and we still have to send people externally because no one resource can give you all the answers. So understand that this boot camp isn't going to be the be all end all. You're going to have to do some extra work, and hopefully your facilitators in that boot camp are going to actually support you as well by saying, yes, here's some external resources that you can use. Takeaway number 3 for this group: communication is key to progress. These support networks that you have and these support systems that we have and the support people that we have are only going to happen with communication. Communication before you join that boot camp, communication during that boot camp, and after the boot camp are going to be super, super important. Make sure you're getting all 3 taken care of. Now, this is a lightning talk. I want to give some lightning tips at the end. I'd love to answer some questions. I live code, I breathe code. I also love working with educational things for developers as well. Here's some tips for you as well going forward. Absolutely free for you today. The buddy system is super important. It's intimidating coming into a class where you don't know anybody, even if it's an online virtual class. Having someone you can pair up with inside the cohort of the bootcamp or someone outside the cohort in the bootcamp, we find makes a huge difference because you don't feel alone. Here's a graphic. This is from the NTL Institute. This is the foundation of the pyramid of learning. This is from our, given to me by our head of content, Janet. And she says, the foundation of this learning period, way down at the bottom, is built on teaching others and practice doing. And I wonder why. And that's true, is because maybe you've had the experience where you're thinking through a problem. It's called rubber ducking, right? You're thinking through a problem and explaining to someone, in the middle of it, you get the answer. And it's because by teaching others, we learn as well. And we learn by teaching others. So This is why it's important to pair up, and this is why cohort-based learning is super important in boot camps as well. If you're on your own, your success is going to be way lower, and it's not because of you. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's because the boot camp was not designed for success. I will tell you that right now. Another tip, try to stay ahead with boot camps. You want to keep your ship at the head of the fleet here. Review before going in, because if you rock up to class unprepared, just as we all did through all of our schooling, if you rock up unprepared, you're not going to be there to have informative discussions. Come prepared, review the material. Don't expect to know it all, but come in to have an informed interaction. I think it's the biggest thing I can suggest to people, especially if you're in a time-limited boot camp where you don't have time to absorb. Learn just enough, the 20% that you need going in to ask smart questions. Again, you're going to have your Google Fu up to speed in boot camps. Feel free to go far and wide. Do not feel like you're being disloyal to the boot camp by going and searching something else or asking someone or using Stack Overflow even. That's okay. You know, most coding professionals, at least the ones that don't lie, will tell you that we spend a ton of time searching for answers to obscure questions. That's what we do. I think sometimes we are just professional Googlers at some points, or professional Stack Overflow copy and pasters. Don't feel like you're being disloyal to the bootcamp because you have to go outside. That's okay. I've got a not so shameless plug in here. We've got two excellent people I believe are part of this event as well. I'm very happy. I've worked with these two a long time. We have a book at Kodeco, which is Hack Your Job Search. It's about landing mobile dev interviews post bootcamp, basically. Not limited to that. This is about social skills. This is about portfolio skills. I believe there's talk a little bit later about from these two about helping you out with some of the tips they've had in this book as well. And a not so shameless plug as well about boot camps. We run boot camps, we sell boot camps, but what I'm happy to do is answer people's questions about boot camps too, because over in head of community, I've got a lot of stuff to share, and I'm happy to share that with people as well, because I don't want them feeling like they've made the wrong choice. And not even about our product, but we've learned a lot building these. We've learned a lot teaching boot camps to people, and I would like to share those knowledge with people too, because I don't think it needs to reside in secret. So we've got boot camps over here, and I'd love to see if anybody has any questions about, you know, what to watch out for, or what do I need in a boot camp, or is boot camp X actually a good deal? There's a bunch of great resources here we have for free on Kodeco.com. I don't expect you to copy these down. You should be able to find them. If you go to Kodeco.com, great big search bar there, we have tons and tons of free articles in our professional growth module about you know, coding interviews, about whiteboard interviews, graduating from boot camps, getting jobs, how to earn while you learn, and a whole podcast series about boot camps as well, because we are boot camp crazy right now. That is everything. I've probably talked way too much, but I want you to take those three key takeaways from the presentation about working with boot camps, and understand that not everyone's going to work for you, and they can be great. Just go into it in a very, very informed fashion. And I would love right now to answer any questions at all, Anna, that the community has dropped, or any that you might have for me now.
Yes. Thank you so much, Chris. Everyone is very excited. We have a lot of, I'm seeing in the chat, like a lot of boot camp students right now. And even someone that used Kodeco before, and they're saying when it had a different name, which was Ray Wenderlich. So I'm glad that you've been around for a long time. While we're waiting for questions, I'm just gonna put this on the screen. Kodeco has a book raffle. So Chris talked a little bit about the Hack Your Job Search, and they're giving away books, 5 books for our attendees. And we'll also put this in a couple other places, but I'm going to leave this up for a second. And some people, a lot of talk about people who are in it, people who are looking at free. I think the things you were saying about just because it's free doesn't mean it's bad, but it doesn't mean it's good. Just because it costs a lot doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's good. I'm going to, let's look a little bit about questions. So Annie has a question. This is something I'm quite interested in as well. What about chat? Is it more Chat GPT instead of Google now? What's your perspective of Chat GPT as a learning aid?
Yeah, it's tremendous. Of course, I am hugely AI biased here. There was a YouTube clip from a game developer building in Unity. I think, a little while ago, and I pointed this out to my people, and I kind of flogged it at them. This individual was able to code Flappy Bird in Unity just by using ChatGPT. There was another individual I had a conversation with on Twitter that worked through some of our tutorials to build their first Sprite Kit game in iOS, and they used ChatGPT to fill the gaps. So is a ChatGPT foo now? 100% as well. Now there's still a huge pile of resources online. So Google's still there, but ChatGPT is the new shiny, and it's really, really good. Well, my CTO might argue with me about that, but when you're trying to answer questions and understand context, ChatGPT is actually getting very, very good.
Great. Here's a question from Gloria. This also comes up a lot because people are hearing that it's tough to get your first job kind of in this specific climate. Especially, I don't like saying the word junior, but the first job, let's call it first job. So Gloria wants to know, what would you recommend we focus on or prioritize during this specific
tech is weird right now.
Yeah,
tech is really weird right now. The things I would promote are resilience and being a generalist as well. If you're in a really big field like web dev, that's fine. I would not say specialize in CSS or anything like that. But I would say maintaining your generalist stance as a developer, and because I will tell you, I code in about 13 or 14 different languages. They're all the same at the end of the day, because the concepts you're getting are extensible to other domains. So don't feel like just because you're web dev or just because you're mobile dev that you can't be valuable somewhere else. So stand on that, lean on that, because I think being flexible and presenting yourself as a generalist, I think, is really important in this tech climate right now.
It's a kind of connected question, but I love this question from Wendy. What skills other than coding? You talked a little bit about like working in a group. I think that's what Wendy's talking about, but I'm sure it varies. How can you evaluate what additional skills are offered by that boot camp?
Right. Yeah, I think if you're in a really solid boot camp, this is a great question, Wendy. If you're in a really solid boot camp, of course, I talked about the people engineering, but of course, when you talk about building discipline for your coding pipeline effectively, and not just like coding really well and using best practices, but also delivering at the end and delivering with polish as well. And even if it's a back-end app, just because it doesn't have a UI doesn't mean it can't be polished. Document your stuff. Understand that getting the job done is just done, but delivering it polished with documentation, with a proper framework, with unit tests, all this is all polish as well. So I would say beyond the people engineering, I would say learning about discipline and polish can be one of the great things a bootcamp can push you to achieve.
So for our last question, I mean, it's a little bit similar. I think I'm going to expand on Tatiana's question a little bit, especially since, because I don't think I introduced myself before, but I work full-time at Women Who Code, and I'm the program manager for career navigation. And one thing that comes up a lot with bootcamp grads is that they all often have very similar projects at the end. So I'm going to expand on Tatiana's question a little bit, but I guess what are your key recommendations to boot camp grads to stand out or to differ or to find their niche or something like that? And this, unfortunately, is our last question for today.
Oh, I love questions. I love talking about this. I will tell you though, I talked a bit earlier about making sure that what you do aligns with your passion. And that comes through. I've done a ton of hiring over the years. And I tell you, I can tell people that are very skilled at the jobs, and then I can tell people that are very passionate about their jobs. You're right. When you come out of a boot camp, a lot of them are going to have very similar portfolio projects, very similar capstone projects. But I have seen capstone projects done in our boot camps that are stunning, and they are in line. If they're a foodie, they've built a foodie app. And when you bring that forward, because you can talk knowledgeably not just about the code, but about the concept of the audience you're building it for, that is tremendous. So I think that's a great way to stand out. And I'm going to shamelessly flog this again. There's some great, Jen and Tim have some fantastic stuff in this book here about building your portfolio, standing out, networking, working out in the open source contributions, all those things that you can pick and choose to do post boot camp to stand out, because there's a lot of people that have done the boot camp, but there's not a lot of people that have done the hard work of building their portfolio, building their image that's in line with their passion, and that will always shine through.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. I will also shout out the talk that you are discussing, Hack Your Mobile Job Search, will take place in about 45 minutes on the mobile stage, so a different stage than this one. And we'll be taking a short break on this stage. So definitely I recommend to everyone poke around, go to networking. You can find all the different people that were in this talk, hopefully in the one-on-one networking sessions. And thank you so much, Chris, and thank you everyone who's entering the raffle. We already have a lot of people, so I'm excited we'll conduct that raffle at about 2 p.m. Eastern today.